Now it's time for Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf, the #1 relationship advice radio show in the U.S.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and the Ask Dr. Love show is the #1 relationship advice show in America, and we're now syndicated in 5 of the top 10 U.S. radio markets, reaching 40 million listeners in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Boston. Visit AskDrLove.com and go to the upcoming Ask Dr. Love show page to find your local station's call letters and airtimes. And of course, all stations stream online and through all the streaming apps. And the show is also available worldwide on iHeartRadio. We also air through a podcast online through Dream Vision 7 radio network, reaching many more millions in over 200 countries. And the Ask Dr. Love show also goes out on Binge Networks TV. And if you missed the live show, don't worry. All show recordings are archived on AskDrLove.com. Now, before we get to today's show, I have a quick, exciting offer for you. My syndicator has put together an amazing advertising package where you can promote your business, product, or service to my 40 million US radio listeners and the podcast and binge audiences at an unbelievable low rate. You can use the contact button at AskDrLove.com to reach out to me and request the national advertising package. Ad spots are obviously limited, and this opportunity is being offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Okay, now today we're going in the ring once again, and we're following up with Oscar and Tim, 2 guys who appeared on the show 2 weeks ago for the show How to Connect When You Don't See Eye to Eye. And we're specifically talking about how to stay connected with the people you love, how to not rupture your relationships with the people you love when you're trapped in value conflicts. Value conflicts occur when you don't see eye to eye, when you clash around sexual, monetary, religious, political, or any other values. And we didn't have sufficient time to dive into the conflict between Oscar and Tim, so they're back today for further discussion. Welcome back, Oscar and Tim. Hi, guys.
Hi, Dr. Turndorf.
Hi.
Hi,
guys.
Tim.
Hi, Oscar.
Good to be back with you.
It's great to be back here.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been good. How have you been?
I'm pleased to hear that. Yes, I'm actually pretty good.
I'm excited about our chat here.
Yeah, I'm very curious about your excitement, what that's based on, where you're coming from, what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like Dr. Turndorf said, that this is a really important discussion to have because it's affecting a lot of people. And I do believe that people want a way out, a way through, even despite their differences,
Yeah, I think it's tearing people apart, people who really are supposed to be in each other's hearts, in some way, I suppose. And but I do feel that I'm in your heart, and I do hope that you know that you're in my heart, even though we're sort of like 180 degrees out of phase.
Oh, definitely. I think the thing that always occurs to me is politics and beliefs and philosophies is all very important, but the thing that makes us fundamentally human really are the things that are so intimate, like love and family and friends and relationships, and the things that are really the heart of life. So, without those things, in my opinion, none of the other stuff really matters.
Well said, Tim, as usual. Yeah.
That's really beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you keep your eye on the ball, right? The heart ball, right? Then you realize anything you say and do has to be focused on sustaining the heart connection with the people that you're in love with, friends, family, anybody you're intimate with, that you do not want to get into some kind of intellectual dispute, win that battle or try to win that battle and lose the relationship. Our relationships are everything. They're what ground us in this sea of chaos. So, I often say to you guys, don't talk about the thing being the overt area of discord, right? Don't talk
Right.
about the thing. Talk about your feelings around the thing. It's like, I'm using this as an example. Let's say someone is running for office and his life partner or spouse doesn't share his or her political beliefs. How do you deal with it? Well, you sort of agree to disagree, and you just don't talk about these topics where you are in discord. You're never going to succeed in changing someone else's beliefs, values, philosophies, and you don't want to try. Those values make up the core of an individual, and we don't have the right to say your values are right and mine are wrong, or vice versa. You just don't have the right. So how can you two build a bridge to each other where you become more emotionally aware of how each other is feeling without going into the thing and contending on the actual value difference? You understand what I'm asking, right?
Sure.
Yes.
And I have, I guess I have issues about that sometimes. Not speaking up about certain things that are connected to the way I was brought up. Maybe you, Tim, share that kind of experience. I mean, that's where we can connect on it. Like for me, my family is Jewish, right? Very secular, but also we're all Jews. So for me, if I'm watching the news, there's a little concern about not speaking up about things. Why am I saying a little concern? I'm concerned about not speaking up, not speaking out when I see something happening in society that feels like it's similar to what I was warned about on every Passover when my grandparents, uncles, aunts showed me the tattoos on their arms, and year after year telling me the same thing. Yeah, you think it can't happen here, but it could. So I do use restraint. And like, just like you and Tim are saying, I try to connect as a person, but I still have one foot in this other area where it bothers me to not speak up sometimes. I really have to restrain myself, and I do, because one thing, Tim, is a way I can avoid being close to you, as a person in my life, and you are in my life. A way I can do that is to start talking about the thing. If I start talking about the thing, it gives me the relief of not being that intimate with you. It's a way of circumventing my relationship with you as a person. And I feel like I have to have a foot in both camps. I feel like, yes, I need to stay close to you, Tim, because you're really important to me. As one of the most sensitive people I have in my life, a very smart, sensitive, aware person who cares about me, I feel, and other people around you. You're also a very perceptive person. And then I also have this other part of me that worries about, what's going on in the world. So I can't just 100% adhere to that. I can't forget about that side of me.
Wasn't that wonderful, Tim? The way he held the conflict that he carries, the feelings of love he has for you, the other part of him that has been raised to be terrified that another Holocaust is coming and you have to speak up in order to save yourself from a roundup, and he's holding all these conflicting thoughts and feelings and describing them in a way that is so relational and connecting to you.
Yes. Well, that was the part that, there's a couple things I want to say. One of the things I want to say right immediately was when Oscar was speaking and he was saying how much he cares about me, how much he's connected to me, how much, you are connected, Oscar, to me, and how much you love me, and all of those things that you said about me are the things that just made my heart soar in that moment. And so that is the beautiful thing about what you said, and I want to stay in that place. I'll say that, and then the second thing was, interestingly enough, we were talking about beliefs and politics, or it could be anything about, it could be about the COVID vaccination or anything, just to bring up a topic. It could be, a lot of times I'll have the belief that if I connect over my agreement about the vaccination or not the vaccination or anything like that, for example, I believe in my mind that I'm going to connect more intimately with you or somebody else. But that's not necessarily the case. That's just an intellectual concept. So
wait a minute, to be clear, what you're saying,
yeah, I'm not getting that.
Tim,
Thanks.
you're saying that if you, in your mind, you tell yourself, if I could actually talk about my beliefs and my values regarding the vaccine, I would actually be closer to you if I could share all those thoughts and feelings. That's the story you tell.
Right, that's the story. And that's not necessarily true. I think that's the important thing.
I see.
That it could be, but I could connect with somebody on that value political idea with someone, and I do. But do they have the emotional intelligence? Do they have the ability to be able to go to their heart and connect on a level that's deeper than just an idea or a concept?
Brilliant.
As important as it might be.
That's
right?
brilliant.
Because I might feel
distinction.
threatened by it. I might feel threatened that you don't agree, that you think I should take something that I don't want or whatever, or, on this, that's how. But if you don't recognize, for example, my goodness in my heart, or how much I love you and how much I care about you and how much I can connect on a deep level with you, then how does that work? Does that work for me? Is it? So these are the things that honestly I've gone into deeper for myself to find that that's not always, just because I agree with someone on something doesn't necessarily mean that they're someone that I even necessarily want in my life.
Yeah, that's true. Not necessarily. But on the other hand, I mean, if you now, like you and I, Tim, I guess people who are listening to this should know that we are both very much in like. We're
Yes.
not in love, but we're in like.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like you tremendously. And, anyway, I don't want to get into like it sounding patronizing or anything, because this is very true to me. And then there's a but, and the but is, and I think that.
Wait a minute, Oscar, you're going to have to hold your butt for a couple of seconds. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to take a brief break. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf. Did you know only one stress, one accident, or one illness can trigger PTSD? And did you know that all the stress associated with the pandemic has created what I call the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome? And don't be so quick to say, I don't have PTSD, because many conditions like depression, anxiety, pain syndrome, sleep disorders, and sexual dysfunctions are PTSD in disguise. And don't be fooled. Even after the pandemic is behind us, your PTSD will not go away by itself. Hope is in sight. In my latest book, If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again, I share a simple, research-backed, drug-free program for reversing the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome, a solution your doctor doesn't likely know about. Read If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again today, and be on the road to recovery right away.
If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again became a #1 international bestseller within 24 hours of its publication. Grab your copy on Amazon and find out why.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you yearn to get along better with your life partner or spouse, friends, family members, and even coworkers, Dr. Turndorf's best-selling Hay House book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 Simple Steps to Cooling Conflict and Rekindling Your Relationship, shows you how to turn conflict into connection for a lifetime of lasting love. To find out more, visit AskDrLove.com. Once again, here's Dr. Turndorf.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I'm talking with Oscar and Tim in how to connect when you don't see eye to eye. And just before the break, I asked Oscar to hold his butt. He had a butt. And so, Oscar, can you come back now with your butt intact?
Yes, my butt is intact, and thank you. Good to be back. So as we were talking about, how much these non-personal issues matter in our personal relationship. I mean, I'm talking about my personal relationship with you, Tim. And I'm thinking, what if I grew up in? I mean, this is hypothetical, but it's critical because we're thinking people like if I had grown up in the South of the United States in the 1800s, and my friend wanted to give me one of their slaves. I mean, would I want to be that person's friend in 2022? I mean, that's a question, because the acceptance of certain things relates to the character of who that person is. And today, in 2022, if a person is a white supremacist or a segregationist or an anti-Semite or hates gay people, could I have as close a relationship with that kind of person as I have with you? Because it has to do with what's in that person's heart. Do you see what I mean, Tim?
Yes, absolutely. I do see what you mean.
I don't want to be friends with everybody. I really don't. I don't really need to be pals with
Oscar, what you're saying is that there are some value conflicts that are actual relationship deal breakers.
Not that they're deal breakers, but that they give clues to the participants of a relationship as to who they're dealing with. I mean, who they're relating to.
Like on an extreme example, like that Tim doesn't believe in the vaccine for the coronavirus isn't on the same level as, well, Tim believes in the values of the Ku Klux Klan. It's like it's a different order of value conflict, right?
Yeah, but they're all on the same spectrum. They're all on the same spectrum of, is there a place in my life for a person whose authentic beliefs, whether they came from their history, like my beliefs came from my history. I'm sure you can identify with that, Tim, because I know a little about your history, and that your beliefs come from they weren't your invention. You were raised in a certain way.
Yep.
So, isn't that a marker for you, Tim? I mean, don't we share that in common, that there are people who, like, if somebody wanted to be, if somebody was like really into Kim Jong-il and wanted to think to people in the United States the stuff that Kim Jong-un did?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's interesting because I grew up, I've gone down different rabbit holes and had different belief systems throughout my life. And I used to vehemently, and I probably still do, disagree with my father with a lot of things. And I remember being a young, idealistic 20-something year old, 21, 2, 3-year-old, and getting so angry with my father, about things. And fast forward to today, whether or not I agree or disagree with him now, I don't know, but I know that I love him. That was one of the great lessons I had, was that, oh, I love this person. I'm so angry with him and I so vehemently disagree with him. I'm almost putting him in a category where he's almost my enemy. And then I remember realizing, wow, that is so disconnected from actually myself, first of all, and who he is, because despite whether or not he voted for this person or voted for that or believes in this or believes in that, at the time I kind of identified as being kind of liberal and lefty when I was at that age. And my father represented everything that was conservative and establishment. And I remember that bothering me, but yet he's my father and he's a good person and he's a patient, loving man, and he's got his flaws, but the flaws really don't have to do with his beliefs as much as just deeper emotional scars. So I do think on some level, yes, that's true what you're saying. It can be. I think it's a case by case basis. I think sometimes people's larger beliefs in reality can reflect some kind of deeper dysfunctionality, but that's more personal. But I don't have the answers either. I'm coming at this not from an enlightened perspective. I'm coming at it from a place of in the struggle with it and dealing with it as much as I can. Sometimes, honestly, I just don't talk about certain things with people because I know there's a never the twain shall meet moment. And I just know that that's not, I could try to show some data about this or that, or about the vaccine or the virus, and it wouldn't matter. And I just kind of take that as a sign from God or whatever you want to say, or the higher being, to say that they don't want to look at this, but we can still have a connection. And so I meet the relationship on the level that it can be met at. And that's honestly the way that I work. And that's regardless of anything that's going on. Honestly, that's how I've always been, because that's the way we all have to, or I have to be, we all have to be. We all meet each other at the level that we're at. An intimate relationship is another story. You and I can connect, Oscar, because we do connect. And that's also seems to be divinely, or it seems to be written in the stars that we're supposed to connect to. So despite our differences.
We're star-crossed likers.
Yes.
Star-crossed likers. I have to say the two of you, we're kind of meeting with you very far down the line in the work that you've done in being able to connect when you don't see eye to eye, because there were periods where the two of you were very disconnected from each other, and you did a kind of acting out where you would speak, but you were cut off. You were disengaged from the other person. So there wasn't that real feeling of I'm with you and I'm present to you with all my thoughts and all my feelings. You were pulled away from each other. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So you've evolved.
Yeah. And I think that what I'm feeling like with you, Tim, is that we I think we both need to have a fence. We both need to have a barrier, and we have erected a barrier between us. And when we're on, when we're together, there's a kind of part where our relationship is rich and full on the other side of the barrier. But we also, and I feel this very much as a gift from you to me, is that you leave me space to be myself. And that has inspired me to do the same for you, to leave you space on your side of the fence, and so that you can be your full self with your full voice, and feel like I promote you, and I can't promote everything that you believe in, and I can't endorse it, but there's a space where the things of the heart, as you described it so aptly before, that I totally resonate with those things. So it's like, yeah, that's the deal. That's what we want. And I feel like if I'm sitting there with somebody who is like white supremacist, Nazi kind of a person, then it's like then there is no space for me to be myself. There is no space for me to be myself. The only space for me is that this other person is leaving is one in which I'm a corpse, or one in which I've been killed by them or sent to some, gas chamber. So, yeah, it's a character marker. It's a character marker. It's not something that we can throw overboard, especially when it's so overt and threatening and dangerous, in my view. Of course, it's only my view that Jews are in danger from Nazis. Of course, that's only my opinion, right? But it's not something I want to. It's not something a relationship I want to be in, because I'm afraid that no space will be left for me to survive.
Right, and there's a fear behind that, obviously, and it's a justified fear from your experience. What I wanted to say to that was just kind of in being with each other, leaving space. A lot of times, if I notice when people disagree, they're kind of waiting and they're ambushing for somebody, they're waiting in the bushes. And when somebody says something, they kind of goad the other person, or they drop a little bomb or something that incites or is provocative,
Yes.
And I make a point of not being provocative, actually, when I know that I don't agree with somebody and I just want to be in someone's presence because I care about them and I love them. I make a point of not of looking at some kind of passive, in the past when I was younger and more willing to be kind of passive aggressive, I would make passive aggressive comments or something like this in order to kind of try to get my point across. And I noticed that those are really destructive. It's like maybe we're agreeing to have a truce to not talk about something, but then I go and violate that truce by saying something like, oh, well, that's going to, that vaccine's going to kill a bunch of people or something like that. And it could really be explosive in that situation where then I'm kind of like breaking our truce to not talk about something, and these are like the little character flaw. I don't want to say character flaws, but that's an example of something that's very personal and intimate to someone's behavior and the way that they operate in the world. It's not to do with their belief about some larger concept or philosophy or politic. It's actually about something that they do on a very personal, intimate level that causes conflict in their personal relationships. And so I notice those kinds of behaviors in other people, and I say, geez, that's causing the problem.
Definitely, Tim. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here. Are you feeling stressed out or suffering panic attacks, aches and pains or stiff muscles, low energy, angry outbursts or disturbed sleep? Or are you worried or depressed or feeling hopeless, like the world is coming to an end? Or you're not eating right or exercising or falling into self-damaging or addictive behaviors like binging on junk food, TV, or the internet? Or abusing drugs or alcohol, figuring what's the point? Or maybe work is getting on your last nerve, or your relationships are falling apart. If you said yes to any of my questions, you are likely suffering what I call the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. Don't despair. My energetic system upgrade is your rescue remedy for the panic epidemic that is plaguing our world. The energetic system upgrade has already changed the lives of some of today's top leaders. Now you can experience your own energetic system upgrade healing transformation. I'm offering a limited number of discounted sessions for my radio listeners. Visit AskDrLove.com/energetic system upgrade. Don't wait. Visit AskDrLove.com/energetic system upgrade.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, shows you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit. To find out more, visit AskDrLove.com. And now, back to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf. I'm talking about how to connect when you don't see eye to eye with Oscar and Tim, two people who have made tremendous progress in being able to connect with each other and maintain their deep fondness for each other, despite their great value clashes and several different areas. Tim, I love what you were saying about the idea that people can do things that are provocative in order to engage in an argument through the back door. I call it like pulling the pin on the grenade. You pull the pin and then you step back and watch the bomb explode. People do this kind of operation around all kinds of relationship conflicts, and they will get their anger out in this way by pulling the pin, letting it explode on the other person, and then getting secondary gain, vicarious satisfaction out of watching someone else screaming and yelling and being furious. And now you've projected your unwanted feelings or your anger into someone else.
And pretending as though they didn't do anything.
Right. Right.
So that's the fear. I'll witness this with other people. And even if I might agree with that person, not in concept, the way that they acted in that moment in terms of that interpersonal moment, I don't think was fair.
Because so we're really talking then, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tim.
No, I've just witnessed that many times, and it's something that I've seen, and it's maybe perhaps unawareness of that.
Have you done that at any point with Oscar?
There's probably been a couple moments, if I'm being honest. I certainly make an effort to not do that, of course, but I'm sure I've done that before. I can't think of a time, but I will just say that I probably have done it.
And then maybe in order to resist doing that kind of provocative behavior, you'll become quiet and withdrawn. It's like a defense against doing it. Instead of pulling the pin, I'll pull myself away.
Right. Yes, I will do that as well. I'd rather not also, I don't want to do that because I see it as aggressive, and I don't want to aggress Oscar in that way. But in a certain sense, I'm also being, if I withdraw from the conversation, it's an act. It's a certain form of acting in, and ultimately acting out by withdrawing my love or my words or any kind of interaction I might have with Oscar.
Right. Did you want to say something, Oscar? I had the feeling you did.
Yes, thank you. That's very important. What you're saying, Tim. Very, very important to me, because it's sort of what we're doing. Maybe at long last, is we're defining. You know how in war and in negotiations and in relationships of all kinds, there's what we call the rules of engagement. There are the rules about how we engage, and I think you and I, Tim, are defining verbally what the rules of disengagement are. How we form our restraint and how we form our space for the other person. How we restrain ourselves so the other person has some breathing space, and how we do it honestly so that we don't find ourselves like unconsciously using some public narrative, getting into one of the public narratives that people use all the time, that have electric vocabulary, things like death tax and stuff like that, pro-life, death tax, whatever. I think it's so difficult to avoid those hand grenade bombs, or those
Sure.
kind of landmines that we put out for each other, that we do it unconsciously. We
Right.
don't even know we're doing it. I think it's very difficult to do that. But in our relationship, I feel that your rules of disengagement are like mine, and they make me feel very comfortable. You've always made me feel very comfortable being myself, and feeling okay with all the parts of myself. So I hope that I could disengage from you.
Well, I suspect that actually the reason why people pull those pins on the grenades is because ultimately they don't feel as though they're being heard. So they do a passive aggressive operation like that, and drop something that's provocative, because ultimately they're stuffing, just like I might withdraw from our relationship because I feel like I'm not being heard in the sense of, about my beliefs or my stance, my political stance, and not being seen and feeling like I'm being gaslighted or something like this. But it's ultimately stems from a sense of being annihilated, or just not heard, or not feeling like my words matter. So ultimately, the way that I actually can kind of bypass that is I connect with you on an intimate level, Oscar, for example, about things I can connect with you on, and the things that are really intimate and personal to me, and about perhaps how, geez, I don't know.
Maybe you could give a demonstration rather than be theoretical.
Well, it's just in the same way of how we agree on connecting on this level of being loving towards one another. So we agree on that, for example.
Yeah.
We agree on how to connect in a way that's heartfelt, that's honest, that's truthful, that in the way that I feel towards you, really is the demonstration of that, honestly. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know if
But
you could
it is
give an
true.
example.
What you're saying is true, because I do remember not that long ago, when a certain topic would come up, and Oscar, you would start raising your voice and getting really angry, and, I have to say, and you would then get on a soapbox and start arguing your case, right? And then I would have to like beat you down and say, no, no, stop this. It would get very, very intense, right? And
Is that
even
what you're talking about, Tim?
that's what it used to be, but
Yes.
that's not what it is.
Right.
It's almost inconceivable for anybody listening or watching to believe that this is where you were together just even a couple of months ago. I mean, even before when I invited you to come on the show just 2 weeks ago, Oscar, we had a half-hour thing, where you were like almost foaming at the mouth about going into the topic and all your beliefs, and me saying to you, I think you're missing the point. We're not going to do that. We're not going to discuss the overt content. So you guys have made huge shifts just in a couple of weeks in how you're dealing with your value conflict.
Yep. Yeah. And that is really interesting, because actually when I start getting into that place, if I really start getting triggered and agitated and kind of I become like deranged, I almost become not myself. And I become someone that actually, when I step back from myself and look at myself, I'm like, I don't like where I'm going right now. I don't like this feeling, this state that I'm putting myself in. And so I'd much rather connect on a level that's heartfelt and loving. And I just ultimately I don't ever come to an answer on the larger issues. I just put them down for a moment, and then I calm down.
Very stimulating for me to hear that. Very stimulating. It stimulates memories that I have in my experience in my family. where I'm connecting with a family member who is not really present in the conversation. The person's has a recitation quality to the way they're talking. They're talking about things in terms of politics that where the vocabulary they're using, the phrases they're using are either from media or someone they've heard or whatever. They're saying the thing, like what Dr. Turnoff was talking about, the thing, but they're saying it with the exact correct vocabulary, because you can't say these things wrong. You have to use the right vocabulary, otherwise you're on the other team. And real conflict between me and various family members who just couldn't talk about anything with me without immediately falling into this kind of trap of not being present as a person. Like I feel present with you, Tim.
Right.
Now that we've gotten over this vocabulary stuff, and
it was like they were talking from a script or something.
That synopsizes exactly what I was trying to say. Thank you. That really is helpful.
Yeah.
See everybody. See how great Tim is.
You both are great.
This is the charm that you have. Tim. Really good.
You're the charm too, because you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he can see it,
it's a shared understanding, between people who are, different in other ways, but
I wanted to check in on something, because last time where I had people ask me, could you have these two guys back? Because there was so much that needed to be said that hadn't been said or resolved. You spoke last time, Oscar, about being afraid, that there was something in the back of your mind that made you afraid of Tim, because you have an association in your mind that the political beliefs he carries are synonymous with the same kinds of beliefs that led to the Holocaust, and that you were afraid of Tim's beliefs and of Tim. So I was wondering, Oscar, how that level of fear has evolved as we've continued these conversations.
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me. You're asking me how I
less
came to those
afraid?
fears?
No, are you less afraid? I wanted to know if the fear has lessened. Has it shifted? Is it the same? I wanted to check in on the fear feeling.
Well, you're reminding me of it now, and talking to you, Tim, right now, I wasn't feeling that, but Dr. Turndorf just brought me into this other area of awareness, and it's like I don't know. I don't know what, it as part of our boundary, Tim, we haven't discussed what our actual beliefs are. So, that's the place I don't want to go with you. I don't want to know.
So this is
I don't want to
important.
know if you're one of the people at the Capitol. I don't want to know if you're one of the people who are a white supremacist. I don't want to know if you're a Proud Boy. I don't want to know those things. I will just want to connect, because I'm afraid, Tim, that if I knew those things, I would have this kind of character that would then make me feel like withdrawing, like I don't want a white supremacist friend. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to even get into it with you. I just
want
to know you as a person.
So you're saying that when you stay out of when you stay out of the overt topic of your political discord, then you bypass the fear that you were feeling when you get too focused on the actual thing, the topic. When you focus on the thing, then you become afraid. Then you feel like pulling away from Tim.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right. I don't want to get into the thing with you, Tim.
And then when you don't get into the thing, your fear subsides. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, it's
all right.
I'm palliative in a way.
I'm starting to get it.
Well,
hey, guys, let's just take a little break, all right, before we go a little deeper into this, because the fear is a very important aspect of your value conflict. Let's just take a brief break. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf. Did you know only one stress, one accident, or one illness can trigger PTSD? And did you know that all the stress associated with the pandemic has created what I call the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome? And don't be so quick to say, I don't have PTSD, because many conditions like depression, anxiety, pain syndrome, sleep disorders, and sexual dysfunctions are PTSD in disguise. And don't be fooled. Even after the pandemic is behind us, your PTSD will not go away by itself. Hope is in sight. In my latest book, If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again, I share a simple, research-backed, drug-free program for reversing the new global PTSD pandemic stress syndrome, a solution your doctor doesn't likely know about. Read If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again today and be on the road to recovery right away.
If You Think You Don't Have PTSD, Think Again became a #1 international bestseller within 24 hours of its publication. Grab your copy on Amazon and find out why.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If your heart is still hurting over the bodily loss of your loved one, the reason is simple. We're not meant to be separated from those we love, and reconnecting is the only way to end the grief. But reconnecting and staying connected requires guidance. As a gift to her listeners, Dr. Turndorf is offering a limited number of discounted grief relief sessions to help you reestablish your relationship and resolve any unfinished issues. If you're ready to experience the healing and joy of reconnecting, visit AskDrLove.com/grief relief to schedule your session. But don't wait, space is limited. Visit AskDrLove.com/grief relief to find out more. And now, back to Dr. Turndorf.
Welcome back to Ask Dr. Love. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, talking with Oscar and Tim about how they can see eye to eye, even though they're very diverged on their political values. So I was talking with you before about the fear. And is there more for us to say about this? Because the fear is an impediment to your really connecting, isn't it? When the fear comes up, then you naturally have the feeling of running to opposite sides and disengaging from each other. So,
Yes.
so Oscar, you were talking before the break about how you managed to not be afraid. Tim, you wanted to say something?
Just briefly, just to say that we're both willing to put those fears down or those disagreements down. I think we're mutually agreed on that. And that's what allows us to connect. That's not always the case with people. Some people, if you've got one side of an equation that is not willing to put that down, that can be difficult. Someone can just insist that they have to talk about
The thing.
And so we're not.
I love the term, the thing.
Well, it could be so many things. I don't even want
sci-fi music.
But you understand, the thing, it becomes like a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah.
That thing is. It's the thing.
It came out of the saucer and it's going around and turning people into pods. Before you know it, they're Nazis.
Yeah, and so that's the one benefit I would say between you and me, Oscar, is that that we have that.
That you have a thing between you, but what?
Well, we have that mutual agreement to do that.
That we're not
we
going
leave
to
each other's space. We keep our hands out of each other's fishbowl.
Yes.
Tim is his own man, and I respect that. There are things I don't want to know because I don't want it to affect my feelings towards you. And the area that we share is just wonderful. I just really appreciate you as a person. You're terrific. It's so perceptive.
And that's mutual. I mean, it's a mutual love. And so, I can imagine the listeners right now thinking, well, they have all kinds of there's all kinds of relationships, and so I'm almost trying to think of all the different kinds of variables that can happen in relationships. And sometimes, you might have to have an overt agreement to not talk about the thing, whatever it is.
Yeah. Tim, did you, this might be a generational thing, but I'm wondering if you ever watched the movie or the television spin-off, The Odd Couple?
Yes, I have, I'm aware of it. I don't think I ever actually watched the movie, but
it's like this radio program, Dr. Turndorf's radio program is an audio version of a modern day a version of the Odd Couple here.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But
Tim, you don't have to wear
Tim
sneakers.
isn't hacking,
you can wear
remember?
Oxfords. It's fine. It doesn't bother me.
And Tim isn't doing that sinus thing. Tony Randall was always hacking
Randall,
like
right.
he had sinus stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Your sinuses sound good today.
right.
I keep hearing the theme music in my head. Da-da, da-da, da-da.
Yeah.
But aren't we all odd couples? If you think about it,
Right.
each one of us is unique as a fingerprint or a sunset. There are no two the same fingerprints or two sunsets. Yet somehow we're being called to find a way to build bridges to each other because we are social animals and we need to connect. We need to feel connected. If we are not connected with others, we fall into depression and despair and a sense of horrible isolation. So now more than ever, we need to find that way to build the bridges to each other when our fingerprints are even more disparate than they ever were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The North and the South, the Capulets and the other guys.
The things that have created the world wars, the destructions of entire races of people. I'm really so grateful to you two for coming out and giving a demonstration of how everyone in the US and throughout the world needs to operate and interact to save our world from complete destruction.
Oh, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I
I'm
don't
such
think
an idealist. I'm such an idealist.
I'm totally with you
magnanimous
on
of
that.
you.
I would love that to be the case, but I think Tim and I are pretty unique people.
Yes, but guess what?
And our association with you has really, really helped bring out that uniqueness and nurtured it.
Yes, because you guys did not start out this way. You
No.
were foaming at the mouth. You were really a mirror of what's going on in the world. And when I see how the two of you have evolved to be able to exemplify what I'm talking about, we don't get into the thing. We are connecting. We are not rupturing our relationship, our world, our universe. If you two can do it, everyone watching and listening can do it. You two are the pebble in the proverbial pond, helping us create world peace and harmony, one relationship at a time. It just creates that invisible string that vibrates throughout the world when you can do what Oscar and Tim do.
Yeah. And I think that that your mission, everything, all your books, the many, many books you've written and articles and this kind of, a broadcast here, this therapeutic mission is really, to me, it's like something I do respect it, and I love it because it's to me it feels like it's more than a treatment of just two people who are friends. It feels more like a global mission.
Yes,
and it kind of relates to what you were saying before. I don't know if you agree, Tim. It feels like this is what the world needs.
Yes. Yeah.
We should sing a song at this point.
all you need is, it's so funny because I don't know if you guys know this, but
Wait, maybe Tim wanted to respond. Hold on. Tim,
Go ahead.
I wanted to just say that, yes, and I agree completely. And putting the fear down, that's really it. It's putting the fear down, and I've had my fears of what if you don't believe that I have a right to not take this injection or something like this? And what if you think I shouldn't, or what, as soon as I start getting off on that panicking thinking and that feeling, and it just takes hold of me. If I run with that, it's all over. So
good. I hope we can talk about that fear too, because
the same thing with, you were saying when you get into that fear place. So putting the fear down, is definitely with your loved ones or, in any kind of intimate relationship. Once you put the fear down, and you can put that just aside, you don't have to let it go, but just put it aside for a moment.
Well, yes, Tim, you're talking about duality, right? That we have to develop the psychic muscle to hold conflicting thoughts and feelings and be able to live in the gray zone, not the black or the white, you're good or you're bad. And you two are my inspirations for doing just that. And I am so thankful again that you came on the show. I can't believe we're coming to the end. It's like literally the time to say good night, but to be continued.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So good to see you, Tim.
You too, right, guys. See you next
you,
time.
Okay. See you next time.
On Ask Dr. Love. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. Sign up for Dr. Jamie's newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive her meditation audio that will guide you to open your heart and chill out during these stressful times.